There's something different about you. Maybe you felt it your whole life, that pull towards something greater, while the rest of the world seems lost in distractions. What if I told you that this energy inside you, the force that drives your thoughts, emotions, and desires, isn't just random? What if I told you it holds the key to something far more powerful than you've ever imagined? Because when a chosen one takes control of this energy, something shifts. The mind sharpens, the world looks different, and nothing is ever the same again. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will change everything. I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. There's something different about you, isn't there? Maybe you felt it all your life, that sense that you were meant for something greater, that pull toward deeper truths, while others seem content with distractions. But what if I told you that this pull, this force inside you, is directly connected to your sexual energy? And what if I told you that when chosen ones take control of it, everything changes? Most people think of sexual energy as just an instinct, a physical need. That's what we're taught. To indulge, to seek pleasure, to let impulse dictate action. But this is the greatest deception of all, because the truth is, sexual energy is power. Not just physical power, but spiritual, mental, and even creative power. The world calls it an urge, but ancient wisdom calls it life force. It is the very essence that fuels the greatest minds, the strongest warriors, the most enlightened souls. But here's where things get interesting. When a chosen one stops having sex, when they decide to retain and redirect this energy instead of wasting it, something incredible happens. At first, it seems like nothing has changed. The world still looks the same. Your routines still feel familiar. But then the shift begins. The distractions that once held your attention suddenly feel empty. The people around you start acting differently. And then one day, you wake up and realize your mind is no longer yours. It's clearer, sharper, but something about it feels almost unnatural. It's as if a fog has lifted. The constant mental noise, the confusion, the endless pull of distractions, it all starts to fade. Your focus sharpens. Your ability to see through deception becomes almost unnatural. The things that used to entertain you now feel hollow, and you find yourself drawn to deeper truths, to higher wisdom. You begin to see patterns in the world, in people, in energy itself. And then it clicks. This power was always inside you. It was just being scattered, drained, diluted by momentary pleasure and impulsive desires. But it's not just about focus. It's about something much bigger, transformation. Science confirms that when sexual energy is retained, the brain rewires itself. Dopamine levels stabilize, serotonin increases, and testosterone rises, leading to more confidence, greater intelligence, and heightened intuition. But spiritual traditions knew this long before science. They taught that this energy, when controlled, could elevate a person to heights unimaginable. This is why history's greatest minds, prophets, and leaders mastered the art of discipline. They understood that energy is either wasted or transmuted, redirected into something far greater. And chosen ones, they do not waste what was given to them. They harness it, they channel it, and in doing so, they awaken something the world has tried to keep hidden. But here's where it gets even stranger. The moment you stop having sex, the moment you stop dissipating this force, the world around you begins to respond differently. Your presence feels different. People react to you in ways they never have before. Some are drawn to you without knowing why. Others feel uneasy in your presence, because whether they realize it or not, they can feel the shift. The energy you once gave away is now something you carry within you, stronger, refined, almost magnetic. But the deeper truth is this: most people will never experience this shift. They will spend their lives chasing what depletes them, never realizing that their own energy was their greatest gift. When you stop seeking validation through fleeting pleasure, when you stop giving away the very force that fuels your existence, something radical happens. Your perception shifts. You start recognizing how much of a world is designed to keep you weak, distracted, and powerless. At first, this awareness feels overwhelming. You begin to see through illusions that once seemed real. You notice how controlled society is, how people move through life unaware of their true potential. The distractions that once entertained you now feel like traps. The urges that once controlled you now seem like chains that were meant to keep you from rising. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. Your energy was never meant to be drained. It was meant to be harnessed. And this is just the beginning. Because once you take control of this force, your entire reality starts to shift. Your thoughts become more powerful. Your intuition sharpens. Your ability to manifest, to create, to influence expands in ways you never imagined. But this level of transformation comes with a cost. Because the moment you tap into this power, the world around you begins to change in ways you never expected. Some will be drawn to you, sensing something different in your presence. Others will resist, uncomfortable with what they do not understand. And then, just when you think you've mastered this transformation, something even stranger begins to happen. People react to you in ways you never anticipated. Some seem to admire you without knowing why. Others seem to fear you without understanding what has changed. But this is just the first step. Because when a chosen one stops having sex, the journey doesn't end, it begins. And what happens next is something that only those who have walked this path will ever understand. Because this power, this energy, this force within you was never just about you. It was always leading to something greater. At first, it seems like nothing has changed. The world still looks the same. Your routines still feel familiar. But then the shift begins. The distractions that once held your attention suddenly feel empty. The people around you start acting differently. And then one day you wake up and realize your mind is no longer your own. It's clearer, sharper, but something about it feels almost unnatural. But what exactly happens next? Why do those who reach this stage never see the world the same way again? And more importantly, why does this new awareness come with resistance? Because if there's one thing the world fears, it's those who cannot be deceived. And once you see the truth, there is no unseeing it. Before continuing with our spiritual evolution, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. At first, the shift is subtle. You wake up feeling the same, moving through your routine as usual. But something feels different. You can't explain it yet, but distractions don't pull you in like they used to. The things that once entertained you now seem dull. The cravings that used to control you now feel distant, as if they no longer belong to you. And then, without warning, it happens, your mind begins to clear. It's as if a fog that you never even noticed has been lifted. The constant background noise, the restless thoughts, the emotional ups and downs, all of it fades into the distance. For the first time in what feels like forever, your mind is silent, focused, sharp, and suddenly you begin to see things differently. Conversations feel different. People's intentions become more obvious. You sense things before they happen. Science calls this neuroplasticity. When you stop engaging in instant gratification, your brain rewires itself, redirecting energy from temporary pleasure-seeking into higher intelligence, long-term vision, and deep emotional stability. But ancient wisdom knew this long before science. The monks, the sages, the spiritual warriors of history all practiced this form of control, not to suppress their desires, but to master them. And as your clarity grows, something else begins to shift. The way you interact with the world changes. You're no longer easily influenced. The opinions of others hold less weight. The need for approval disappears. And people notice. Some are drawn to you, sensing a strength they can't define. Others become uncomfortable, sensing that you are no longer someone they can manipulate. You start seeing through deception, recognizing patterns that were always there, but hidden beneath the noise of your own mind. And once you see, you cannot unsee. But this is just the beginning. Because this transformation is not just about seeing the world differently, it's about understanding your own power. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions more controlled, your presence stronger. And then something even stranger happens. The things you once feared no longer affect you. The anxieties that used to cloud your mind begin to disappear. The urge to seek validation, to be understood, to fit in, it all fades away. Because now you know the truth. But there's something else happening beneath the surface, something powerful. You begin to realize that the world is not designed to support clarity. It thrives on distraction, on keeping people lost in pleasure, in impulse, in chasing the next high. And the moment you step out of that system, you become different. You move differently. You speak differently. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer seek, you attract. And the people who were once close to you? This transformation is not only mental, it is spiritual. The energy you once carelessly gave away is now contained within you. It builds, it strengthens, and the more you hold on to it, the more powerful you become. This isn't just about abstinence, it's about redirection. The energy that once fueled distractions now fuels ambition, wisdom, and self-mastery. Your intuition sharpens and your creativity flourishes. But something else happens too, something unexpected. Your presence shifts. People notice you, even when you're silent. There's an intensity in your eyes, a steadiness in your posture, an energy that radiates from within. Some are drawn to it, fascinated by something they can't quite define. Others feel uneasy, sensing a power they cannot control. And in that moment, you realize that this transformation isn't just internal, it's external. You are no longer the same. At first, it feels like you're rising beyond everything that once held you down. But then, the real test begins. Because when a chosen one reaches this level of awareness, the world does not make it easy. And soon, you will see exactly why this newfound clarity comes with a price. Something about you has changed. At first, it's subtle. You don't even realize it. But others do. The way they look at you, the way they react, it's different. Some are drawn to you without understanding why. Others seem distant, unsettled by something they can't explain. And soon, you begin to notice it too. Your presence feels different, stronger, more magnetic. This is the second transformation, the shift in energy, attraction, and presence. It happens when you stop dissipating your power and instead contain it. Most people live their entire lives leaking energy, unaware of how much of themselves they give away. But when a chosen one masters this, everything changes. Because energy is not just something you have, it's something you are. And the way you carry it, that's what makes all the difference. You walk into a room, and without saying a word, heads turn. Not because of how you look, but because of what you radiate. There's an intensity, a force behind your presence that wasn't there before. And it's not just psychological. Science confirms that when you retain your life force, your chemistry changes. Testosterone rises. Dopamine stabilizes. Serotonin increases. Confidence builds. Clarity sharpens. And all of this is felt by those around you. But here's the part they don't tell you. This new energy is powerful, but it's also disruptive. Some people will be fascinated by you, drawn to something they don't understand. Others will feel threatened, sensing a strength they cannot manipulate. And this is where the real test begins. Because when you reach this stage, the world does not just observe, you provoke it. You start noticing strange reactions. Strangers make eye contact longer than usual. People seem nervous in your presence. Some feel an unexplained pull towards you, as if they need to be around your energy. And then there are those who resist. They project their insecurities onto you, trying to break what they cannot comprehend. Some will challenge you. Some will test you. And others will try to pull you back into the distractions you left behind. But by now, you know the truth. This energy, this force within you, it's sacred. It's not meant to be given away recklessly. It's not meant to be wasted on things that drain you. It's meant to build, to grow, to evolve. And the longer you hold on to it, the stronger it becomes. And this is where it gets even stranger. Your presence starts affecting reality itself. You think of someone, and they suddenly appear. You focus on a goal, and opportunities arise without explanation. It's as if the universe is bending in response to you. And maybe it is. Maybe this energy is not just a force within you. Maybe it's a command, one that shapes the world around you in ways you are only beginning to understand. You begin to feel it more with each passing day. The way your energy shifts environments. The way people seem to react before you even speak. You're no longer invisible. Your presence alone is enough to shift the atmosphere. Some people feel at ease around you, as if they've finally found something real in a world full of illusions. Others feel exposed, unable to hide their true intentions. And it's in these moments that you understand something profound. This isn't just about you. It never was. The universe moves through energy. Everything vibrates at a frequency. And now that your energy is no longer being wasted, your frequency has changed. You attract different experiences, different people, different outcomes. And with this realization, another truth becomes clear. Not everyone will celebrate your transformation. Some will admire you. Others will resent you. And a few will even try to pull you back into the version of yourself that they were once comfortable with. The power within you is something most will never experience. It's not about control. It's not about dominance. It's about presence. A presence that commands attention, not by force, but by sheer being. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer seek, and that alone is enough to make the world around you shift. Some will follow, some will flee, but none will remain indifferent. And this is where the real challenge begins. Because when you hold this kind of energy, you become a force. And forces by their nature disrupt. Not everyone is ready for what you've become. And as your power grows, you'll begin to see exactly why the world resists those who refuse to be controlled. What happens next is something only the truly awakened will understand. You thought the transformation was complete. The clarity, the presence, the energy, it felt like the final step. But then, without warning, everything around you starts shifting. People you trusted begin to distance themselves. Doors that were once open suddenly close. The things that once seemed certain now feel unstable. And you don't understand why. This is the third transformation, the fire, the resistance, the breaking of old attachments. It is the phase where everything that no longer serves you is stripped away. And it is not gentle. Most people never make it past this stage because they mistake it for punishment when in reality, it is purification. When you rise above the ordinary no longer recognizes you. You become an outsider, even among those who once walked beside you. They look at you differently, as if sensing something they don't quite understand. And some will even resent you for it. They'll say you've changed, that you've lost yourself. But in truth, you have only lost the illusions that once bound you. This is the fire that forges the chosen ones. It does not destroy, it refines. It burns away the distractions, the false identities, the relationships that were built on fragile foundations. And as painful as it is, this is necessary. Because you cannot carry your old life into your new destiny. You cannot hold on to what was while stepping into what will be. And the universe ensures this by forcing you to let go. You will feel resistance. You will experience loss. And for a moment, it will feel like you are alone. But what you must understand is that this is not an ending, it is a separation. A separation between who you were and who you are becoming. Between those who are meant to walk with you and those who were only meant to be lessons along the way. At first, it will feel like everything is crumbling. But in reality, everything is being rearranged. The people who leave, they were never truly aligned with you. The opportunities that disappear, they were never meant for the version of you that you are becoming. The pain you feel is only the weight of the past being lifted from your shoulders. And here's the hardest part. You cannot fight this process. You cannot hold on to things that are trying to leave. If you do, you will only create suffering for yourself. The fire is not here to punish you, it is here to free you. And the moment you stop resisting, the moment you surrender to this transformation, something incredible happens. The fear dissolves. The attachments lose their grip. And you finally understand that what you once saw as a loss was actually a blessing. But the fire does not only remove, it also creates. When the old is burned away, space is made for something new. Your mind, once clouded by distractions, becomes clear. Your emotions, once tied to the past, are freed. And in this newfound emptiness, something powerful begins to grow, something unshakable, something eternal. And this is where the world begins to react. Because those who knew the old you will struggle to understand the new version that emerges. They will try to pull you back, to remind you of who you used to be. Not because they wish you harm, but because they fear what they do not understand. But you are no longer bound by their perception. You have stepped beyond it. You have been forged in the fire, and now you are unbreakable. You begin to understand that this fire is not just about loss, it is about purification. It removes what is weak, what no longer aligns with your true self. And in the process, it leaves behind something stronger, something untouchable. This is why so few reach this stage. They fear the pain, the discomfort, the uncertainty. But you are different. You've already walked through the flames, and now you stand on the other side, unshaken. You start noticing changes in yourself. The way you speak, the way you think, even the way you move through the world. You are no longer easily influenced. You do not seek validation. You do not chase approval. And because of this, people react to you differently. Some are drawn to you, sensing something they cannot define. Others pull away, unable to handle the energy you now carry. And then something even greater happens. The distractions that once held your attention no longer interest you. The fears that once controlled you now seem insignificant. You have become something else entirely, something most will never understand. And as you step into this new reality, one question lingers: what happens next? Because this transformation is not the end. It is only the beginning. The old attachments are gone. The illusions have burned away. You are no longer who you used to be. But now comes the true test, not just of endurance, but of mastery. Strength is not just about surviving. Resilience is not just about enduring. The real power lies in something even greater, the ability to command yourself in a world designed to control you. This is the fourth transformation: strength, resilience, and the mastery of desire. It is the stage where you are no longer ruled by impulse, where the distractions that once pulled you away from your path no longer hold any power over you. And at first, this feels like freedom. But soon, you begin to understand that true mastery is more than just resistance, it is redirection. It is the ability to take what once weakened you and turn it into something that fuels you. The world thrives on keeping people in cycles of craving attention, craving validation, craving temporary pleasure. But when Chosen One reaches this stage, they no longer crave. They choose. They command. They act from a place of intention rather than reaction. This is what makes them different. This is what makes them dangerous. Because they are no longer moved by the same forces that move everyone else. You will notice it in yourself. The desires that once controlled you no longer feel urgent. The things that once seemed so important now seem trivial. You do not react the way you used to. You do not chase what does not align. And this confuses people. They don't understand how someone can be so at peace, so in control, because most people do not experience this level of power. But here's where the challenge begins. Mastering yourself is not about becoming emotionless. It is not about rejecting desire. It is about owning it, directing it, transforming it into something greater. Most people are controlled by their emotions. You, however, have learned to channel yours. And this is what makes you unstoppable. When you are no longer driven by impulse, you begin to see reality for what it truly is. The illusions become clear. The manipulations become obvious. The systems designed to keep you weak, distracted, and dependent, you see right through them. And because of this, you move differently. You make decisions from a place of power rather than fear. You build rather than chase. You create rather than consume. And as this mastery deepens, something incredible happens. You start to see how energy flows, not just within yourself, but in the world around you. You understand that everything is connected, that every action has a consequence, that every choice carries weight. And because of this, you no longer waste energy on what does not serve you. You conserve, you elevate, you rise. But here's where most fail. They reach this level and think they are finished. They believe they have mastered everything. But mastery is not an end, it is a beginning. Because the moment you think you have arrived is the moment you stop growing. And you, more than anyone, know that stagnation is the greatest enemy of all. And this is where the real test begins. Because once you have mastered yourself, the universe will respond. The people around you will react in ways you never expected. Some will admire you, hoping to learn from your strength. Others will challenge you, unable to accept that you have risen above the world's distractions. And then there will be those who fear you. Not because you have harmed them, but because they can no longer influence you. This is what makes a chosen one unstoppable. Not power, not intelligence, not strength, but discipline. The ability to remain unshaken in the face of temptation, to stand firm when everything around you seeks to pull you back, to command your desires instead of being ruled by them. And when you reach this level, you become something rare, something the world has no control over. But here's the final lesson. True mastery is not just about knowing your power. It is about using it. The world does not change for those who simply understand. It changes for those who act. And now, standing in the aftermath of everything you have become, there's only one question left to answer. What will you do with it? You have endured the trials, walked through the fire, and emerged unshaken. The illusions have crumbled, the distractions have lost their grip, and now, only one thing remains, the final transformation. This is the moment where everything either solidifies or falls apart, where those who have truly been chosen step forward and those who only pretended are left behind. Because there is one mark that cannot be faked, one seal that separates the awakened from the lost. This is the sixth transformation, the seal that cannot be faked. It is not given by man, nor can it be taken away. It does not fade with time, nor does it weaken under pressure. It is the final stage of becoming. The moment when you realize that everything you went through was preparing you for something far greater than you ever imagined. But here's what makes this transformation so different. It is not about gaining something new. It is about seeing what was always there. The world has trained people to seek external validation, to look outside themselves for proof of their worth, their calling, their power. But the ones who reach this stage know the truth. They no longer need confirmation. They do not seek approval. They do not ask permission, because they understand that their purpose was never dependent on the opinions of others. It was always written within them. This is what separates the truly chosen from those who are simply searching. is not about knowledge, is not about talent, is not even about strength, is about certainty. The unshakable, undeniable knowing that you were set apart for something greater. And because of this, you walk differently. You speak differently. You move through life with a presence that cannot be ignored. But here is the part that most people don't understand. When you reach this level, the world does not suddenly become easier. The challenges do not disappear. If anything, the resistance increases. Because the moment you step fully into who you were meant to be, you become a threat to everything that thrives on deception. You carry a light that darkness cannot comprehend, and because of this, you will be tested. Again and again. But there is a difference now. You are no longer shaken by these tests. You do not break under pressure. You do not question your path. Because you have seen too much, learned too much, become too much to ever go back to who you were before. This is the seal that cannot be faked. It is not about perfection. It is about perseverance. The ability to stand firm in your truth, no matter what comes against you. And this is where you truly become untouchable. Not because challenges stop, but because they no longer define you. Not because the world suddenly understands you, but because you no longer need it to. You have become something else entirely, something the world cannot control. And that is the final transformation. But here is the true power of the final seal. It does not just change you. It changes the way the world responds to you. You no longer move unnoticed. Your presence alone shifts the energy in a room. You begin to attract those who are meant to be part of your journey, and at the same time, you repel those who cannot handle the power you now carry. The people who once doubted you now watch in silence. Some will try to reconnect, to step back into your life as if nothing changed. But you know better. You are no longer the person they once knew. The version of you that needed validation, that sought approval, that questioned their path, that version no longer exists. And as you stand at the edge of everything that was and everything that will be, one truth becomes undeniable. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to rise. And now that you have embraced this transformation fully, there is no going back. Because the moment you accept that you were never meant to live an ordinary life, everything changes. You no longer walk in fear. You no longer hesitate. You no longer look for signs because you have become the sign. The seal that cannot be faked is not something you carry. It is something you are. And now, as you take your final step into this new reality, one last truth settles deep within you. There is no more waiting. There is no more seeking. There is no more doubt. Because the journey was never about becoming someone else. It was always about remembering who you were meant to be. And now that you have, the world will never see you the same way again. Now you understand. This energy was never meant to be wasted. The clarity, the power, the transformation, you've seen what happens when a chosen one masters it. The world reacts. Some admire it, some resist it. But one thing is certain, nothing stays the same. And now the real question is, what will you do with this power? Because once you take this step, there is no going back. If this video has changed your spiritual journey and helped you connect with your universal strength, subscribe to the channel, leave a like below, and activate the notification bell so we can notify you when new content arrives. We also suggest watching the video indicated on the screen so you can continue your journey of spiritual growth and inner evolution of knowledge. Thank you for staying with us until the end, and see you in the next video.